Welcome to Lethbridge, Protest City. Anyway, as I was saying, Lethbridge, Protest City. I didn't think this was a thing. Okay, so in the summer, or like July, summer, I recall driving by City Hall in the morning. Maybe it was June. Man, why does it matter? It was June. Okay, it was June, and I recall driving by City Hall on the way to school, and there was like people outside there, like, I don't know, what do you call it, picketing, whatever. They had signs up and stuff, and I was like, what is going on? And then one of them said something about, basically it was about the safe consumption site that was started in Lethbridge, and people were rallying about that. I don't even remember if it was like the big conversation about it was that they were, let's just say, needing reform. That things weren't working out very well, or they anticipated they weren't going to work out well, and they kind of haven't been in some areas where there's just more needles laying around Lethbridge than there used to be, and stuff like that. A bunch of other issues too that I'm not going to get into details right now, talking about Lethbridge Protest City, but that was one. And then just in the past like month here, there's been like the yellow vests. But it's not the same thing that yellow vests means elsewhere, like France. Somehow, and again, I didn't do research or a lot here, just from things that I've been seeing somewhere along the line, and I might include some links here in the description of this information, where people have been protesting the influx of immigrants into Lethbridge. And they are affiliated with groups, I guess, that are, what do we call them? And why do I have to be sensitive about it? Basically affiliating themselves as neo-Nazi groups or similar to them, or affiliated in those ways. And they have been like protesting the arrival of new immigrants in Lethbridge, which there have been a lot of in the past couple of years. And then we've got people that are protesting that protest and saying we need to like show up, and like I've seen so many events on Facebook and other social media platforms talking about, you know, we need to show up and like support, show support for our immigrants, past, present, and future immigrants, and kind of say this isn't okay, we don't want this in our city. And that's a positive thing, but anyway, we'll get to the protest part in a bit, and what that does and what that means, which will be a further discussion in the conversation piece for this week as well, as to what protests actually do, or what they have potential to do or not do. And then the latest thing, which you might have heard of or might not have heard of, I don't know, is the police officer in Lethbridge who ran over a deer like 4 or 5 times. So to be clear, the deer was hit by a vehicle. I believe it was on Scenic Drive South. It might have been Scenic Drive North. It was hit by a vehicle, and then it was left there. I don't know if it was a hit and run or what. I don't remember the details of what happened with the person who hit the vehicle, or the vehicle who hit the deer. But this deer was there. It was a mobile. It was like on the meridian, and there's a video. Again, if I find that footage, there'll be like 2 or 3 links in this video where you can go and look up these articles and news stories and such. So the deer was there on the meridian. Someone started filming. Someone started filming a police truck that arrived at the scene, because they were called to the scene to deal with this deer. I'm assuming they determined that the deer would be better off put out of its misery, that it was going to die. I don't believe Animal and Wildlife Control was called, or either they weren't called, or I don't know. Either way, this officer took it into their hands or used their discretion to say, this deer isn't gonna live, we need to kill this deer and put it out of its misery. However, they decided to do that by running it over with their truck. And not running over its head, running over like its feet. Like it was not coming at it from like, if you're gonna run over something with a purpose to kill it, to do the right thing and put it out of its misery, to end suffering, which is, sure, make that call, that's fine. But like, first of all, why not shoot it? I mean, there's an argument to that it'd be endangering public safety, but I mean, if police are competent in their use of their firearms, that shouldn't be an issue to point a gun at a deer's head point blank and take care of it, and end its suffering. That should not be an issue. That should not be endangering public safety. And why is somebody parked in my spot? That should not be endangering public safety at all to do that. So, however, that may have been a reason they didn't do it. So instead, they decided to run over it, and you just see it going like it's just going over it a couple times, and it's like screaming in pain, which you can hear even though it's recorded on like a camera phone or something, and it's like really far away, like across the street. You can hear the deer like yelping and responding with its voice. And so that's really disturbing. I didn't watch all of it because I was like, okay, I got the point. This is stupid. There was an officer who was basically doing some, there was an officer who had to respond to what happened, and, you know, they responded the way that they were probably told to respond, which is not a lot of information, not being able to make certain comments or go in depth about things. Apparently the officer is going to be under investigation and all this stuff. But when asked about what the procedure is to deal with this deer, he didn't really have a solid answer in this case. Like, what is the procedure? Because all that he said was, you know what, when, I don't remember the name of the organization now, that's going to look into this matter and investigate. When they do their investigations, then we may have to reevaluate our training policies around these things. And it's like, well, what's your policy now? And he didn't answer that. He didn't answer what the policy was now. What is the policy now? Obviously there is none. Either there is none, and there should be, or the officer didn't go by a policy, because that is not the policy, for sure. Let's run over a deer. So if it's in the officer's discretion, then it's pure incompetence, for sure. I don't think that the officer was trying to cause this deer pain on purpose or anything like that, but it's incompetence for sure, and that needs to be dealt with regardless. And that's if there is no policy. So that means they need to create one for other officers who are incompetent that for some reason they have on their force. And if there is a policy, then he should have said this was the policy, and blatantly they disregarded it. It's one of those two things, either incompetence and no policy, or, I mean, either way it's incompetence, but like, or there's a policy that they blatantly ignored, and why would they do that? So I don't know. Again, I don't think that this was malicious behavior, but there was a protest in front of the police station, which you'll see a little bit of. In front of the police station, there was this protest where they were just like saying, oh, this is cruelty to animals and don't do that. And it's like, why? Why? What is the purpose of this? What is that going to prove? Like, the police already know this is upsetting. They've addressed that it's upsetting. Why do you need to like, I don't know. I just don't think it does anything, really. Which, again, we'll go into in more detail in the conversation piece about affecting change, or about effective change, and how to create change in scenarios maybe like these. But yeah, wow, like, this officer just, I don't know, man. Wow, that's a lot of folks. Kind of more than I thought. Protest City. That is the police station. That's people hollering. Isn't it like illegal to use your horn for any other purpose than emergency scenarios?